Hi there, and welcome to another Alex Breck's Banter podcast show. Today I'm going to have a quick run through of my books. I've been getting lots of nice reviews lately for some of my books on Amazon, and I thought I would do a little bit of a book review myself of my own work. Just to bring you up to date, I'm busy working away at the moment on a new Ridge Walker thriller, and I thought I've been a bit quiet lately, so I thought I'd give you a quick run through of my books to date, which you can get, all of them you can get on Amazon, either as audiobook, paperback, or as Kindle. So sit back and enjoy this. It's only going to be about 10 minutes or so. Enjoy this quick run through of my books, and I hope you get some value from that. So we're going to do them in series and chronological order. I think that makes some kind of sense. And so the very first book that I ever wrote in the Ridge Walker series was He Who Pays the Piper. So there are at the moment 5 books in the Ridge Walker series. I'm presently working on book number 6. And the very, very first one that started all of this madness was called He Who Pays the Piper, which I published way back now in 2012, and it was a long time in the making, I guess, in the gestating, uh, before I even realized that I wanted to become an author, I think. And so there's a lot of me in it. There's a lot of Alex Breck in it, a lot of my personal, my travels, things that I've done. And Ridge Walker himself he's definitely not me, but he's a very unlikely hero, a hapless hero, what you might describe him as. And he gets involved in adventures across the globe, and yeah, what could possibly go wrong? It starts off, the story starts off in Scotland, where I'm based, where I've lived most of my life, but it goes right across North America into South America, and it's a rich cavalcade of characters, I think it's fair to say. Lots of lots of action, lots of imagination, and a surprise ending. So he who pays the piper, you can get it on audiobook. It's so far my only audiobook. I'm very happy with it as an audiobook, but they're kind of expensive to get produced. So I'm still mulling over the economic benefits of making the rest of them into audiobooks. That was the very, very first book, and at that point I had no idea that I was going to write more of them until people started asking me. And so the second book that came out a little while later was The Piper's Lament, which was again an international thriller. All of the Ridge Walker books are very much international adventures. Yeah, and this time, he's settling down a little bit, or he was trying to settle down a little bit, Ridge Walker, and he didn't really expect the birth of his first child to be under missile attack in the back of a helicopter, in in a very dangerous situation in northern Pakistan, as it happens. So very much based in Scotland and in Asia, the second story, The Piper's Lament. And yeah, it's again very, very explosive, an explosive thriller. And he really, if the first book wasn't a wake-up call to Ridge Walker, the second book certainly is. And yeah, it's fair to say he toughens up a heck of a lot in The Piper's Lament. So it's based mostly in Scotland and in northern Pakistan. So very much, it's a very topical, even to this day, topical thriller. The third one, The Piper's Promise, is completely different. It is mostly based in Scotland again and in Japan this time. So Japan is a country that I'm very fond of. Lots of good things about Japan, but also lots of bad things as well. And so Ridge Walker, he gets involved in things. It's just the way he is. This time he's doing it to help one of his best friends. It's a particularly dark tale in some respects. and he brushes up against centuries of warrior culture and a very, very distorted and scary individual. And yeah, it's quite dark. I've heard people say to me that this book put them off walking in forests for many months after reading it. And so it's dark, but it's not as bad as that. So the next book was called The Loss Report, and that is very much a global thriller. This time it's skipping across many different parts of the world. South America, in particular Chile, features heavily in this one, but also the Antarctic and even England, darkest England, the capital city of the UK, London, features in this story. And it is very much a global thriller. Again, very much topical stories, having a pop at various different governments and political situations, which I love to do, to be honest. And the Ridgewalker thrillers give me that ability, that potential to do that. So yeah, it's been well received, this book as well. So it was the fourth book in the Ridgewalker series, and then which brings it up to the very last one, No Place to Hide, which was published just a few months ago. This recording is in April 2024. No Place to Hide came out in tail end of last year, December 2023, and it seems to have had the most traction of all. I don't know particularly why that is, but it's had the most reviews and very favorable reviews, and which makes me very happy indeed. And it's very much up to date. It's written in 2023, and it's very topical about things that were happening and are still happening today. So that has had some rave reviews, which is lovely, and it gives me the confidence, I suppose, to keep going. It's not necessarily the greatest business model in the world, being an author. I love doing it. It's a passion of mine. And what keeps me going is feedback from people. So the feedback from No Place to Hide was great. So the sixth novel is now well underway, and it's going to be another cracker. It's very much, again, bang up to date. And it's one of those situations where the world is so crazy, it's difficult sometimes to keep up with it. The truth is stranger than fiction. And for me, I feel it very much is the case these days. So I'm plotting and writing as I go, and yeah, making sure it fits in with the crazy world we live in. I have another series, the Lachlan MacLean Scottish thriller series, which there's only two of them at the moment. Now this first book, The Devil You Know, came out a few years ago, and it was very much the darkest book that I have ever written by a country mile. So it's very, very dark, and some people have described it as disturbing. And the main protagonist, Lachlan MacLean, is not necessarily the most likable character that you will come across for a hero, certainly in the initial few pages, and so you need to stick with this book. And but I really didn't expect to write another one. I really expected this to be a standalone thriller. I wanted to write, a standalone thriller to be really different to the Ridgewalker adventure series, and it's been really well received. The Devil, people have really liked the hard, tough nature of the story, and it's very much set all in Scotland. So it's a totally Scottish thriller, set very much in Glasgow, big urban city in the middle of Scotland, and also up in the Highlands. One particular place in the Highlands, I don't want to give too much away at the moment, but it is based, the idea of The Devil You Know is based on a classic story from many moons ago. And so just imagine waking up on a desert island with no clue as to how you'd arrived there. And that will give you a little bit of a clue to some of the plot line in The Devil You Know. So that was a few years ago I wrote that, and it was really meant to be a standalone book. But amazing to me, many people came up to me or contacted me and said they wanted to hear what happened next to Lackey McLean. What did he do next? Is that the end of the story? And so there was a little bit of a hook at the very end of The Devil You Know, which we picked back up again 10 years later in The Devil Inside. And I'm particularly fond of The Devil Inside. It's one of my favorite books that I've written. I love that cover as well. But the storyline again, very, very up to date, all based predominantly in Scotland. Very controversial moments in the storyline. Again, it was written a couple of years ago, and it's been quite well received as well. So I'm very fond of The Devil Inside. And the good news is, hopefully for all of you, is that yes, I'm working on the 6th Ridge Walker thriller. So it's provisionally titled at the moment 21 Days Countdown to Oblivion, which is a very dramatic title. And it's going to push me, as a writer in terms of the narrative. And I'm hoping it's going to all work out. I'm still in the middle of it right now. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But I'm just keeping a weather eye on things that are happening in real life, so that my story, it doesn't sound too outlandish. At the moment, it's more like the world is too outlandish. But yeah, this one is going to be, there is everything at stake in this book, shall we say. So, it's not just loved ones, it's not just, people close to him or even Ridge Walker himself. In this book, it's fair to say there is everything at stake. So hopefully that's going to be of interest to people. And then I've got another great idea bubbling away in the back of my mind for the 3rd Lachlan McLean story. So that I know what that's going to be about, and I know the rough idea of it. I'm going to write that one in 2025. So it's going to be called The Devil's Own, again, which the title is actually means something, but you won't know what it means yet, hopefully. So that's what I'm working on now, and I'm very excited and full of energy to keep going with my books. And in the meantime, I'm also helping local authors in the Highlands of Scotland to produce another book, another anthology of short stories, which may or may not be for charity, again, which we've done a couple of times now. So really, really excited about that. That will probably be later 2024 that will come out. The first one of those anthologies is called Sea Passages, and it was a non-profit book. All the proceeds went to the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, RNLI, which is a subject very close to my heart, living on an island. The second one was called Footfalls, and was all about coastal paths and walking in the West Highlands of Scotland and the things that you might see or might happen to you. So it's a nice book. And so the third one, we are provisionally calling it Tidelines, but we'll wait and see what it turns out to be in the end. So lots going on in the background. Hopefully you're enjoying my Alex Breck's Banter podcast series, and you'll also find this as a video on my Alex Breck YouTube channel. So that's it from me today, Alex Breck, in a relatively sunny April day in the West Highlands of Scotland. So thank you very much for coming, and I'll see you on the next video.